This video is going to cover section 13.1, Measures of Central Tendency. This chapter is all about a subject called statistics, which is something you might consider taking. We do offer it for advanced placement if you're interested in some of the stuff we're going to discuss, okay? But this first part is going to be the very basic items in statistics, which starts with our measures of central tendency. So some of these measures of central tendency include arithmetic mean, which you might be more familiar with as just the mean, okay, like the average, median, and mode, okay? And these three things are just like the definition up here implies, it's some form of a central measure, okay? So we know that the mean is like the average where you add everything up and divide by the number of terms, okay? And that's probably the one that's the most familiar. So we'll go ahead and compare the three of them at some point as well to see how they how they relate and how they differ, okay? So the first one we have here is our mean, okay? And that's the one I just said. It's the mean of n numbers, the sum of the numbers divided by n, okay? So we add everything up and divide it by the number of terms. So we're going to jump right into an example, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this before. Okay, we have 6 friends in a biology classroom of 20 students. So, and they receive grades of the following. So 92, 84, 65, 76, 88, and 90. Find the mean of these test scores. So they want us to find the average of this using arithmetic mean. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the sum of all this and divide it by the number of terms. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So n equals 6. And I know it tells us that here, but I just want to emphasize, do count the terms because notice that we have that 20 and it might throw some people off. We don't really need that 20 here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to have 92 plus 84 plus 65 plus 76 plus 88 plus 90 all divided by 6. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And when we do this, if we add this up correctly, we get 495, and again divided by 6. Divide this out, and we get 82.5. So the average arithmetic mean of the test scores was an 82.5. Okay, and that's how you do that. Let's move on. Median. Surprisingly, this is a term that a lot of students have forgotten. One way that I always remember it is by these first three letters, MED, and I think of it as in Spanish, el medio, which means the middle, okay? And it's different color, it's kind of hard to see. Middle, so mid in a way, means kind of like the center of something, right? So in this one, the way you find the median is you actually list the numbers. So we list our n numbers in order from least to greatest. So it does have to be in some kind of either ascending or descending order. I usually do ascending just because it's easier for me. As long as you have the smallest on one side and the biggest on the other one. So numbers going up, okay? And you try to find the middle number. Okay, so here it has a couple of ways to do that. It says the middle number of if n is odd. So if you have, let's say, 7 terms, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, the middle is going to be right between these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you would see that it'd be this piece right here, which whatever number that is. And that's what it means right here. The middle number of n is odd. So the median would be that middle number right there. Now, if the mean of the two, now if you have an even number, okay, so let's say we're going to just do 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's not exactly a middle, so for this one, you have to take the average of these two. Okay, that's where it says it's the mean of the two middle numbers. So you would add these two and divide by 2, which is what we did on top, okay, on the mean part. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and do these two problems. We'll leave it like that. We're going to find A and B. So for A, it looks like, let's see, we're going to start with 3. So 3, and then what comes next? 8. Okay. 14. I'm just going in order here. What's next? 27, and then 34, 51, and 64, and finally 82. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have that n is even. So that means we're going to have to find some kind of mean in the middle. Let's go ahead and do that. If this is 8 terms, we're going to probably look at our fourth term here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're looking at these two numbers. We would go ahead and find the mean by adding them, 27 plus 34, and then dividing by 2 because there's two numbers. And when we do that, we should get 30.5. You can check my math if you'd like. Remember, if I make a mistake, extra points for you. Okay. So it looks like the mode for, I'm sorry, not the mode, the median, okay, for letter A is 30.5. Okay. Let's go ahead and try letter B now. So we have to put them in order first. So it looks like the smallest one is 11.6. Okay, then we have 17.2, and then 21.3, 37.4, and 82.5. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since n is odd, we're going to look at the number right in the middle. So that looks like since it's 5 terms, it'll be the third term. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's how you check. Make sure it's the same distance on both sides. So this would be our median. So for letter B, the median is 21.3. Okay. That's it. Easy as that. Put them in order, find the middle number. Okay. And finally, mode. So mode is another form of measure of central tendency. And this one, the way I remember it, is by using the first two letters. And I think MO can stand for most often. See, MO. Okay? Or you could even think of it as most if you want. The most. Okay? So this one, you just have to find the number that comes out the most. So let's see for letter A. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threes. So I'm going to do it kind of like this. We have 5 of these. Okay, we have, let's see, 2 fours, 3 fives, and only 1 8. So it looks like this is the biggest one. So the mode for A is just, oh, not 5. What am I thinking? The mode is 3 because this is the one that comes out the most often. Okay, let's look at letter B. So here we have, let's see, we have 12. We have 2 of those. Okay. 34 looks like we just have 1. 71 we just have, 71 we have 2 actually. Okay. 48 we just have 1. 83 we have 1. So in this one it looks like we have 2 modes. Okay. So the mode for letter B would be the 12 and the 71. So 12 and 71. So that tells us that for mode, we could have more than one if we have more than one that occurs most often. Okay? All right. So with all that in mind, we're going to go ahead and compare these now. Find the mean, median, and mode of the following. I'm going to color code this, of course. So let's do mean in this color. So for the mean, we need to add everything up and divide it by the number of terms. So 8 plus 3 plus 3 plus 17 plus 9 plus 22 plus 19 all over, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 terms. Okay, and it looks like this one, let me see. This one, when you calculate it, okay, comes out to 11.6. I did calculate these before, so that way the video is not too long, okay? But you can check the math if you like, okay? All right, so that's the mean. Now we're gonna do the median. So the median would be the middle number. So we're gonna put them in order. So we have 3, 3, so 3, 3, 8, 9, 17, 19, 22. And just to be sure, I should have 7 items. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. So since n is odd, okay, it's going to be the middle number in here. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like our mode for this one, I'm sorry, our mode, I keep saying mode, our median, our middle number is 9. So already you can see that these two are very different. Okay. And last but not least, we're going to do the mode. So mode is the one where it's the most often. And just by looking at this, I can see that there's 2 3s. Okay, everything else is just one of each. So the mode is just 3. Okay, so kind of a little bit of insight to take from this is that even though these are technically all sort of kind of averages, they can be very different. They're not going to be necessarily the same. Now, there are some examples where you will find that they all come out to the exact same thing. I would have to look one up, but just trust me on that. There will be some where they are the same. The one that is affected most drastically when you do change numbers would be your mean. So an example of this is if let's say we were talking about salaries in a business, okay? So you have your lower income would be, let's say, in the 15 to 20,000. Okay. Then you have your middle guys maybe who get about maybe 40,000, 45,000, and then you have the CEOs and the ones at the way top of the chain who make 150,000. So you can see that those are really big numbers. And if you wanted to find the average of that, you would add them up, and it would probably come out pretty high because of that 150,000. But would you say that you know what? Let's kind of just try that here. So let's say you had 150,000 is your top, okay? Plus we'll say 45,000 is the middle. Plus we'll be nice and say 20,000 is the lowest income. These are just random numbers, okay? And we would divide this by 3, right? So that would be, let's see, 150 plus 45. That's going to be 195 plus 20, so 215,000 divided by 3. So this comes out to 71,666 with 66 cents. So if you're telling me that if somebody were to say, oh, well, the average mean of working at this company is 71,000, you might think, oh, wow, I want to work there. But if you're starting at the bottom, this is way different from this. And even if I were to throw in another 20,000, let's say I threw in another 20,000 in there, well, that would change the mean, right? You would divide by 4 and you'd get a different number. Yeah. But regardless of that would probably change just by maybe, I don't know, 10,000 or so. But that number, this number, whatever this comes out to, would still not be a very good indicator of, what you'd be making compared to these guys. But if I throw in an extra one, your mode is now 20,000. Do you see that? So sometimes using different measures of central tendency depends on the situation. And if you wanted to pick one that gives you the most for your money, so to speak, you want to be careful with all of this. Okay. Anyway, so hopefully that I just kind of threw this and I didn't plan to do this, but hopefully that made a little bit of sense. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on now. We've covered the three main measures: arithmetic mean, median, and mode. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about something known as the weighted mean. And this is actually really relative to stuff like your grades, your GPA, amongst other things. So this one is when you're given n numbers, so x1, x2, all the way to xn, with different weights. So for instance, if let's say when you do your grades for school, you know that daily assignments are not worth as much as a test, and the final exam is worth even more. So that's what it means by weighted. Some of them are going to be worth more than the others. So therefore we have to multiply it by that weight to get the actual average. Okay, and that's how we calculate your GPAs and stuff. So here's the formula for that. This is the sum of the weight. So this right here is the weight. And this would be the number. Okay, I'm just going to put number divided by the sum of the total weights. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this in an example so we can see how this works. Okay, so we have an example right here. Okay, and this is just an example of some random classes, okay, and the grades that they got. We're doing this college style, so you can see some of you will be heading to college very soon. You can see that the weights are here. These right here are the weights, they're possible weights. And I believe they're the ones that most colleges use, but of course that could change. So we could make A equal to, I'm sorry, we can include like an A minus and say that's 3.67 and so forth. But we're not going to do that for this example. I'm just giving you more work. All right, so let's get into this. We have that for English, we received a B, and that was 4 course units. This is like the hours that it's worth. So how we would start this is I'm going to go ahead and do my division here. I know that for English, okay, it's going to be 4. And since it's a B, what I'm going to do here in this column is I'm going to put the worth for that. So B's are the same as a 3. So I'm going to say 4 times 3. Okay, and that's one weight right here. So that covers English. I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. For the A's, we had 3 of those. Okay, so for A, there's 3 of them, and A is equal to 4. So I'm going to multiply this one times 4. Okay, for chemistry, it looks like we had a D for that one, and there's 3 hours for that one. So chemistry is going to be 3 times, let's see, what is a D worth? A D is worth 1. That's not very good, but it is what it is. Okay, so times 1 plus we have our last one. So for algebra was worth 4 hours, so that's going to be 4 or credit or course units, think of it that way. Okay, and that is the one that got a C. So C's are worth 2. Okay, so I'm going to multiply that one times 2. And luckily whoever this kid is, they didn't get any F. So good for them. Okay. Now we're going to divide it by the sum of all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these on the bottom. So it'd be 4 plus 3, so these ones, plus 3 plus 4. Okay, and then we just calculate this out. So 4 times 3 would be 12. 3 times 4 is also 12. Plus 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. So all I did is I calculated these things right here. Okay, divided by 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Okay, and when I add all this up, I should get, let's see, 12 and 12 is 24, plus 3 is 27, plus 8 is 35. And then we have our 14. And then this roughly divided, let me see, what did I get for that? It looks like I got a 2.5. Okay, so that means that the student's GPA It was a 2.5. So a lot of you actually ask about this, how do you know what your GPA is and stuff. For our high school purposes, it's not so much like this because we don't know the exact weights for every single class, all the combinations you have. But when you get to college, the weights are as long as you know this, you should be able to calculate your own GPA. Okay. So just some insightful information for you. Let's go ahead and move on. We have one more thing to cover, and this is something called frequency distribution. Okay, so the data that we just saw right now, and that with the grades, that's organized data. So it's ready listed for us. All we have to do is kind of plug it into a formula and go from there. Okay, data is not always like that. Sometimes it's in something called of a raw data format, and that's this right here. Okay, this is raw data, an example, where pretty much you have they already conducted the experiment, okay, where they got the information, they just kind of put it somewhere, and we need to organize it. Okay, so to do that, we use something called a frequency distribution to organize the number of times that those numbers occurred. So right here, okay, from this box to this box, this would be the frequency distribution, and it's exactly how the name um, sounds. It's telling us how many times of frequency those numbers were distributed amongst this uh, raw data. Okay, so you can see right here, and the arrow is kind of hard to see, but here's an example. Okay, right there, we have in this row that 14 of there's 14 twos in this box over here. So relative to what we're talking about, let's see, we're talking about the number of laptop computers per household. So what they did is they went to different households. They said, how many laptops do you have? And the first guy said, oh, I have two. The second guy said two. Third guy said zero, and so forth. So it looks like in total for the twos, the number of households that had two, okay, there was 14 of them, and that's what the arrow here means. Okay, so let's check if that's actually true. So we have two right there, okay, another one right there. So we have these ones right there. There's more twos here. There's a two there. Two, 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 and two. So there should be 14. Oh, I missed one right here. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this is in fact correct. This part right here is correct. And we're going to assume the rest is correct because why? I did get this beforehand. So what you do is you can, from this information, you can organize all of the number of laptops per household in a chart like such into this frequency distribution. And then we can go ahead and find the mean, the mode, and all that other information. Okay, and I think I didn't spell it right up here. Frequency distribution. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna use this information to find the arithmetic mean because that's the most commonly thing we can do with this. As a reference, I went ahead and included the same chart. This is the same chart that was up here. Okay, and we're gonna find the arithmetic mean of the distribution. So this kind of goes back to that whole weighted mean where you have more than one of certain numbers. So for instance, for the 5, we had 0. So that's why here they have that, sorry about that, they have that 0 times 5. Okay. For the second one, we had 1, 12. So that means that 12 households had only one. So here's that number right here, that calculation, and so forth. 2 and 14, 3 and 3, okay, 4 and 2, 5 and 3, 6 and 0, and 7 and 1. Okay, and all we did here is we multiplied all these out, added them up, ended up with 79 over 40. You do want to divide because you want to get the approximate answer here, and ended up with 1.975. So that means that our mean for this one is 1.975. Could you find the mode and the median? Yeah, you could. You could say, well, which of these happen most often? So the mode for this one looks like it would be this one. It would be 2, okay, because there was 14 of them. So the mode would be 2. Okay. For the median, I'm not going to do that one, but the median, you would have to actually list all these numbers. You have to say, well, there was um, 5 zeros. Okay. So list them out. 12. So it'd be kind of like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you would do the 14 twos. Okay. Which I'm not going to do, but yeah, you get the idea. So you would list all the numbers, find the middle number, and that would be your median. Okay. Yeah, so really basic stuff, guys. If you have any questions, by all means, let me know.